Welcome, everybody. You are welcome to
Thank
this. You. Yeah, you are welcome to this month's book review. We do it monthly.
Okay, sir.
Every month we have this book review. It's a blog post that is that will make available for authors to come and tell us more about their work, and then to inspire people to read. If people have heard about the books, it inspires them to read. We reviewed the book 2 months ago, In Pursuit. The authors were Oswald Osariti Gobadia and then Chukuma. They were young Nigerians when they came from abroad to come and set up, a business in Nigeria. So, they documented what they have seen, and they worked, they set up their own business, and they documented what they have seen. And last month, we worked on a Hyper Grace from Reverend Dr. Tope Oni. Why I'm referring to In Pursuit is because it's similar to what we want to do today. So today, the book we are going to review is pretty much like what we have in that, what we've done before in that pursuit. And it has a lot to do with, learning psychological things. It has to do with when you were born, what has happened as you grow up, maybe that has shaken your confidence or that reinforced your confidence. Because I'll try to read through that book, although I've not gotten to the end, but for the few pages I've read, it's very, very, very interesting book. And when we look at the person of our coach today, well, I know he's a very busy person. Very, very busy person. Coach is very, very busy person. And I'm happy that he was able to come here today. I'm glad. Yes, I was able to come here today. And he has written this book, Fearless Seed. It's a book, he said it's a book that is written at the point of transition and pain and confusion. He said, discuss the journey of anyone from when we are conceived until when we die. It discusses beliefs, challenges, and life twists. It's a book that guarantees forgiveness, closure, affirmations, and capacity building. When you have gone through all those things, you are the best person to write such book. And Coach Sam is an unconventional thinker. He likened himself to an octopus whose primary preoccupation is to solve problems and, in fact, where possible, help people avoid them. He's a trained computer scientist, turned behavioral change therapist, and small business developer. He's currently the Vice President Empowerment of Life Coach Association of Nigeria, LCAN, and also a member of the Advisory Council of LCAN. So our coach is somebody I admire from far. I've listened to him, but not straight for 1 hour. And I've been planning to come and enroll in his coaching class so that I can learn how to become a certified coach. I'm planning that when I finish some of those things I'm doing now. And if you want to be a certified coach, this is a coach for the certified people. So his book is Fearless, and he has lived his life fearlessly. I really admired him. And for today, he's going to take us through his book. And I know that at the end, all of us will have one or two things to hold on to in this work that he has written. And as we have seen him, he's a young man, young and energetic man, and he's still bubbling for the Lord. And spiritually, yes, he's there. And he has the tenacity to dare the future. So I introduce to you today Coach Sam Obafemi. Coach,
wow.
go
Thank
ahead.
you, sir.
Yeah.
I feel
welcome.
grateful to be here. Thanks to everyone that has joined. Thank you. Let me call you Pastor Lumide for your
Okay.
kindness and for your leadership. Thanks for all the years of following. It's a humbling experience to be on your platform, to be honest. And I am happy to see several faces, known and unknown. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me this room to share with you about my book. My name is Sam Obafemi, as my big bro has said. I am based in Abuja. I work and operate from Abuja. Let me know if you can hear me, please.
Yes, we can, clearly.
Okay, perfect. So I work from Abuja and I lead a team. Some of my team members are here. In fact, the governor of our life coaches group at my organization is here with us live, streaming from the United States. Her name is Faith Obafemi. I have my faculty director, Okpashi, is here. I have a fellow coach with us, Pauline, is here. I have my friend Princess is here live. My younger sister Anna is here. So I'm ably covered and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I want to thank every other person who is here with all due respect. I really appreciate that you could turn up for this conversation. So today we're discussing Fearless Seed. And I'm just going to give a short summary and a review of the book. And hopefully, God in his infinite mercy would open your eyes and grant best book ever. I think I should change my network so it can be a bit clearer. So give me a second to switch networks. Let me just try that now. Okay, so please, if you can hear me, write 1 in the chat room. Let me be sure that you can hear me. If you can hear me, just write 1 in the chat room. Just type 1 in the chat room. Fantastic. Okay, good. So I can rely on the network that I have now. So let's roll. Okay, so my dad says that Fearless Seed is my best book ever. I have written 11 books and Fearless Seed happens to be my best book yet. And so it's a privilege that Mr. Olumide has asked me to share about the book. Let me give a background because like he has read out to you, that book was written at a point when I was in a lot of confusion and distress. The book was written and launched April 2015. And for those who have heard me in different fora, I have said 2015 was when my life started all over again, because at that point, I had come to terms with the maturity of my person, and I had come to terms with the fact that there were things that I had to embrace audaciously. I had to face some decisions courageously and face and take my life to another level. So 2015 is when I recognized that I started living all over again. And I'm going to give you a short story behind that. So growing up, I grew up in a very modest family. Most of us would understand, coming from a Yoruba family where you had to live by rules. My parents were very conservative and modest, so they always had this very protective way of raising us. And my dad, or my parents, both of them were very strict, very, very strict. And there were these conventional rules that were stated and unstated in our home. A typical rule in our home is you don't speak in public where there are adults, because it was considered disrespectful to engage where there are adults. So that is one of those rules. Another of those rules was you don't need to be so wealthy. Just once you can eat and fend for yourself, everything is fine. Every other thing will be okay. And so those were some of these are just two of many rules that I probably will be sharing some more as we go on. So I grew up in that kind of family. I'm the first of four kids. Right after me is a set of twin boys, and then we have a younger sister who is way younger than us. And so there's also another rule. Of course, most families in Nigeria have that rule. As the firstborn, you cannot afford to be wrong. You just have to be the perfect model of a firstborn. They'll tell you your young girls are looking up to you. They are looking, following you. Any step you take is the step they will take. It looked like it was a taboo to misstep. So that's the third that I would say was controlling. And so over the years, there were many things I wanted to do that I could not literally do. There were just so many things I dreamt of, aspired for. There were so many ambitions I had. There were so many things that I wished I could do, but I could not. Why? Because I just had those voices from my childhood in my head. I remember that when I became a copper, and I mean a core member, NYC in Lagos, which was what took me from the north for the first time. The first time I left the north was 2003 September when I was posted to Lagos for NYC. And I remember that my local government was Ikeja local government. And in one of those days, I was conferring with my ZI. And in the course of the conversation, she looked at me and said, "Why are you trembling? Why are you not confident? What's the problem? Be like a man." That statement hit me. I was like, it just occurred to me that, but not true. What is this thing about, being overtly humble and overtly submissive and overtly subservient? And it looked like I just had to. So that statement hit me hard. And I go home that evening, I was wondering. I was even angry with her, to be honest. At first, I felt embarrassed. I felt like, I'm trying to be loyal here. I'm trying to be, humble. I'm trying to serve you. And you're screaming at me like I'm a weakling. But hey, in retrospect, when I go home that day, I was like, this thing is very true. I started connecting the dots. And all that was playing in my head was the fact that I remember that coming up from home, that was the posture that was agreeable. That was the demeanor that was acceptable. You were expected to be humble. In fact, let me tell you, just recently I was talking to my mom and I said, you still have this habit of people stepping on you and walking over you, and you're feeling like you even have to apologize that they're walking over you. So we grew with that energy from home, where it felt like all you needed to do was be nice, be agreeable, be compliant, and every other person is correct. You don't have to argue. You don't need to negotiate. You don't need to have your way. Just let everything be. So I grew up with that upbringing. And then I got to Lagos. And in the course of being in Lagos, a lot of things I was still struggling with a lot of things. I remember I worked with Value Card. For some of you that know Value Card, it is now Unified Payments on Idowu Taylor on Victoria Island. All through my 4 years working with Value Card before I left into my own business, I was literally the good staff. And anything that had to ruffle any feathers, no, I would not do it. I would rather just let go. So all that was the story. And then I left my job. I resigned to start business and I moved to Abuja. And so when I came to Abuja, my friend invited me to a cocktail meeting. The cocktail meeting was hosted by EDC, Enterprise Development Center of Lagos Business School. And that evening, it was an evening of cocktails. So we were there. And then the friend I invited came with her laptop. She went with her laptop. She probably wanted to do some work. And while she was working, she stood up to network. I stood where she was sitting and I was watching over her laptop. And someone I don't know from anywhere walked up to me and said, "Hi, my name is," and he introduced himself. And I said, "Hi, my name is Sam." And he said, "Do you have inferiority complex?" Whoo! Second jab. I looked at him like, "You don't know me from anywhere. How dare you say I have inferiority complex?" And I was asking him, "Why do you think so?" And he said, "Because everyone is networking here and you're here stuck to a laptop. And I don't know what a laptop is doing here in the first place. You're here for a cocktail." And again, it just reinforced the fact that up until that time, I was living in a shadow of myself. I was, popular, known. Yeah, I wrote a lot, I still do, but I didn't have the kind of assertiveness, the kind of presence that would command the kind of audience that I wanted. So that was the beginning of revelation. I began to dig deeper and ask myself questions. And then in the course of that journey, I began to have a rebirth. So I would say that there was a period of meditation. I left home, I left my wife and children, I traveled. I went to Uyo. And when I was in Uyo, I went and stayed up in a hotel for a very long time. I think it took me for about a few weeks. And it was in the course of staying there that I asked myself real questions. What is the problem? Who are you? And it was in the course of that moment that I now wrote this book called Fearless Seed. Now, just before that time, I had attended a course in Jos that was organized by Innocent Usa. The course is called Neuro Linguistics Programming. And while I was in that class, I think it was like the Mount of Transfiguration. It just came clearer whom I am. It became clearer what I am. It became clearer the kind of power that I have. And so this book was written at the prime of my power, in the sense that at that point I became so powerful with the understanding of who I am, and I wrote this book. So I'm going to quickly call out the chapters in this book. This book contains 9 chapters, and each chapter has a very powerful implication. The first chapter is called Your Fetal DNA. And the fetal DNA chapter, the first chapter talks about the fact that a child born today is naturally fearless. If you have carried a child before, especially a child that has grown into the point of crawling and attempting to walk, you realize that these kids at that point as toddlers have no register of fear. They are not aware of anything called fear. They just walk into anything, run into anything, carry anything. That's why they go and they put their hands on flame of candles, and they are trying to walk on steps, and they think that they can just run through steps. Kids are born fearless, tabula rasa. It is from our reactions to their maybe fall, maybe accidents, that they begin to learn fear. So kids learn fear. But by nature, we all were born fearless. And one of the things that I can use to reinforce this is that, do you realize that by the time you came to earth, and I'm talking to you now, by the time you came to earth, your natural design was to aspire for unrealistic stuff, in quotes, unrealistic in quotes. I want you to test this. Go to a child today and say, what do you want to become in life? So I want to be the president of Nigeria. I want to be the president of the United States. As far as they're concerned, there is no need to be a citizen of the United States to be a president of the United States. That's the way kids think. Kids just dream big. They have no iota of boundaries and control. But something happened to all of us. At a point, as we grew, maybe in your second age, maybe in your third year, maybe in when you were 4 years old, at some point, chapter 2 says there was a swap of our identity. And that is what happens to most of us. Every one of you listening to me now is conformed to a particular system, whether you're conscious about it or not. And that's the swap. The swap that happened is that we were conformed to our family values. We were conformed to our family cultures. We were conformed to the cultures of a parent or both parents. We were conformed to the environment where we lived. We were conformed, and we are still being conformed to the church where we attend. We're conformed to a particular governing system. Somehow, in the hierarchy of things, there is a conformity happening to all of us. And that is where I have a friend that says, from the time we are born till the time we will die, we're always trying to become as perfect as we were born. From the time we were born to the time we will die, we're trying to become as perfect as we were born. If you're going to be honest with yourself, you will realize that there is this desire in your heart that you know you want. you know you really desire, but somehow you're saying, I've already had children. I'm already 50 years old. I'm born in Nigeria. In this Nigeria, it cannot work like that. My father, my parents will not agree. Oh, my family will disown me. My wife will not even like it. Oh, my husband will just divorce me. There's always that thing you really, really desire, but someone somewhere or something somewhere is the reason why you cannot do it. That is what this book tries to question. This book tries to question the fact that what exactly is the limitation? Is it self-embracing or is it a real limitation? Because it turns out that actually there is no limitation anywhere. And that's what this book tries to address. Now, this book recognizes other things. Number 3, chapter 3 talks about your ambivert personality. It recognizes that some of us are introverts, but there are some things we need to do in an extroverted shell. It recognizes that some of us are extroverts, but there are times when we really need to be introverted. And so the book recommends that if you come to terms with your ambivert nature, and what is ambivert? Ambivert, let me spell it first. A-M-B, ambi, which means dual, vert. And vert is meaning personality. So dual personality. And ambivert simply means when you have the skill, the capacity to take on another personality so as to get things done. So sometimes, some of you here love to speak in public. I hear people say, I wish I was a proficient speaker like you. I wish I could talk on stage like you. I wish I could do this like you, but I'm introverted and I'm afraid. And I ask them, I say, well, the thing is, I'm introverted. But guess what? Every time, even this moment as I'm speaking with you, I'm not speaking as an introvert. I'm speaking as an ambivert. I'm speaking from a place of extroverted competencies overshadowing my introverted personality. And that's how it works. The extroverts would have to compose themselves to get some things done, which means they are going to wear an introverted personality to overshadow their extroverted nature in that temporary context. So that's chapter 3 of the book. It talks about you and ambivert. And then number 4, chapter 4 talks about social norms that limit us. Social norms, and I'm going to name some of them because I think that many of us may be affected by them. Number 1 social norm is get married quickly. Just go and get married. Just marry anybody that you get. That's one social norm that affects all of us. They say, you're growing old though. In the book, I talked about some scenarios. A friend of mine, as at the time I wrote this book in 2015, was 36 years old. And her family were giving her hell. You are 36. You have never been married. It's not right. You're going to be menopause. You're going to this one. You're going to that one. That is one social norm that affects everybody. Oh, you left your family a long time ago. You should have had a divorce by now. You're supposed to have been remarried by now. It's not good for you to be alone. That is a social norm that is limiting a lot of people from flourishing. It's not everyone that desires to get married. Let's establish that fact. It's also not everyone that gets married that really wants to have children. Let's also establish that fact. But people get children. In fact, you hear at the wedding day, in 9 months' time, we are going to come and celebrate the birth of your twins. You're going to have twins, you're going to have quadruplets. And everybody say, amen. And the couple is wondering, how did we tell you people we want to have children in the next 1 year? That is a social norm that limits us. And it is one thing that a fearless seed is going to discard. Number 2, they tell us that purpose cannot pay you. I remember when I was leaving my job, my mom was crying. It's not fair. My parents retired August 2010. I resigned from my job and left 1st of July 2011. And my mom felt it was the most unfair thing from me to them. We took care of you. We spent all our money giving you good education. Now you're leaving your job. Who's going to take care of us? That was her complaint. And she had a valid point. So she felt like this thing you call purpose, this thing that you say you are burning with a passion to help people. Why can you not help people on your job? Is it that your job cannot da? And those were the stories. So we tell people that unless they have a 9 to 5, they cannot succeed. We tell people that if they try to follow their talent, build their talent, that they cannot succeed. Well, a lot of things are changing now. Thanks to technology, thanks to the millennial habits, a lot of things are changing. But that's another norm that we need to address if we want to be fearless. The third is that some people say, and this was me, I don't have their class. They refuse to acknowledge me. This was me some years ago. I used to say, these people that have money, I cannot talk to them. I cannot go to where they convene. I used to see myself as, I not reach their level. And guess what was in my head? My mom's voice. Baba Tunde, don't go where they are talking. Baba Tunde, what are you looking for here? I remember my mom used to be the personal assistant to the managing director of Ashaka Cement. And anytime I went to her office and people wanted to engage me in a friendly conversation, my mom would look at me, you know that either your mom will look at you, you know that if you try it, and I will respectfully just find a way to back out. You know, there's this this GIF of one man backtracking into the trees. I'll just backtrack into the tree like this, I beg, Emma Kobani. But that had an impact. It had an impact because I became a businessman and I still had challenges mingling with the high and mighty. I had to do a lot of work on learning a lot of things to be able to address anyone because I wanted to have my way to do some things. These were some of the things I had to address in this book because I found many of us are just short of the success we're looking for because there's a voice in your head. There's a voice that says, you know, nobody in our village has done this before. You know, nobody in our lineage has done this before. You know, nobody in our family has traveled before. You know, nobody in our family has done this before. Those voices are in your head, and those are the norms that you must address. Very, very important. So there are several other norms that I shared up. I think I shared up to about 15 norms in chapter 4. Then chapter 5 talks about our parents. And with all due respect to our parents, they did the best they knew, at least majority of them. I think there are very, very few exceptional cases where parents outrightly try to destroy their children. I think most parents just were doing the best they knew, also from what they had learned from their own parents and their own environment. So in chapter 5, I talked about how to readdress some of the things that our parents did not know. A typical example, I had to confront my parents at a point and tell them, I remember when I clocked 40 years, just 2 years ago, I sat my parents down. I said, I'm 40 today. And in these 40 years, have I been erratic with you? My parents said no. Have I been unreasonable towards you? My parents said no. Have I been, rude or disobedient? Have I intentionally done something that has embarrassed you? And they said no. And I said, so from now, anything I do, just respect it, please. I've done your part. From this point on, I am doing my own. Those are some of the things I came to terms to address. And many of you may have to come to that awareness to say, I need to address some misgivings. Because up till now, despite your age, some of the things you're doing are not yours. You're still running the program of your dad. You're still running the program of your mom. And you just may not be aware that you're just repeating what your parents did. And sometimes it looks like, well, I just found myself doing it. There's nothing I can do about it. No, there is. There are a lot of things you can do about it. Then chapter 6 talks about the unprecedented laziness of our knowledge age. Now, this is where many of us are frustrated with the millennials. We say, these millennials, Gen Z, they are this, they are that. They are not serious, they are lazy, they are this one, they are that one. Well, I beg to disagree. One of the things we must establish as fearless seeds is that there's what we call reverse mentoring. There is so much the Gen Z know that we have refused to learn that is frustrating us in return. Let me give you a classical example. The CBN today has attempted to blacklist or blackmail cryptocurrency. But if you ask me, it's a failure of reverse mentoring. because we have concluded that these boys don't want to work hard. These children don't want to do due diligence. They just want to make money. Well, if you look at reverse mentoring, there are so many things our younger generations are doing that are smarter, which we should learn from. And they are the real fearless seed. Have you seen someone in their 20s of late and younger, the way they will tackle you? They will face you and ask you any question. They don't even think they're asking you something odd. You will still be wondering, are you asking me this question? How dare you? And they're wondering, why is this one uptight? What's the problem? They are the real fearless generation. And if we want to get things done, if we really want to supersede our self-imposed limitations, we need to go back to the ants and learn. And in this context, the ants are the Gen Z and the millennials that we tend to curse. Chapter 7 talks about closure. I am a mental health first aider, and I have a certificate in positive psychiatry and mental health. And one of the things we learn is that all of us are in trauma at different degrees. Everyone here has gone through at least one of the following. You have been heartbroken at least once in your life, or you did not marry whom you desired to marry, or you lost a job that you wish you had, or you lost money in circumstances that is very painful, or a friend has betrayed you in a way that you find difficult to forgive, or your sibling has hurt you in ways that you find difficult to forgive, or you have lost a loved one that is difficult to forget. Somehow, you're a victim of one of these things I've said. So, we all are in trauma at different levels. Some are at more traumatic levels than others, but all of us are in trauma. And one of the ingredients to healing is closure. What is closure? In the book, I define closure as the process of getting healing with or without the involvement of the offender, with or without the involvement of where the pain came from. So let's pick a case of betrayal. You may or may not confront the person that betrayed you, and you can heal. Or let's take the case of loss of a loved one. You really cannot do anything about it, but you need to heal. Because without healing, you'll be hurting other people. When people hurt, they hurt other people. Some of you have families where you and your family members are not on the same page. You're not in good terms. You need to heal. Some of you have lost a dad, lost a mom, lost a spouse, lost a child, lost a sibling. I lost a sibling in 1992. She died to complications from measles, and it took a long time for us to heal. But our mom took like forever. Every year on her birthday, our mom will be crying. Every year on the day she died, our mom will be crying. It took a long time until she came to accept and close. So in this book, I share the procedure for closure. If you've been betrayed, there's a procedure. If you've lost a loved one, there's a procedure. If you've been hurt by someone, there's a procedure. So in that book, and that is chapter 7, you will find the procedure for closure. I call it your power to heal completely. So that's a process, a procedure. Then chapter 8 talks about affirmations. One of the ways that all of us keep going, despite what it is on earth, is affirmations. What are affirmations? I personally believe that affirmations are spiritual words, words of power that we speak into the earth to make things happen for us. I totally believe affirmations are spiritual. If you like, we call it dictionary names, it still doesn't matter. But affirmations drive results. Affirmations drive law of attraction. Affirmations drive outcomes. So the thing you're looking for is looking for you. The very thing you seek is also seeking you. So you just need to keep learning how to speak them. So in this book, I taught you how to write affirmations, the dynamics around affirmations, the myth that limit affirmations, and how to make your affirmations work for you. So that is chapter 8. And then the last chapter of the book, chapter 9, says, though it tarries, staying true your own vision. Though it tarries, staying true your own vision. So I shared some examples of how to stay through in the vision that God has given you. I used my story as a bit of an example. I call it a man God has helped. If you have followed my social media posts for long, you know I've always said I am a man God has helped. And I'm always using that to share my affirmations. So that is a tool. I also shared some stories of other people that can give you some form of leverage to understand the power of affirmation. So this 9-chapter book is a book that I have given to the world as my contribution to make you know that the life you are living is less than the life you can live. The life you are living today is less than the life you can live. All of us are bigger than the person we can see. You can see my frame, Sam Obafemi, but I'm a bigger person than my frame. All of us are the same. We are first spiritual entities who are clothed in an earthly suit. And guess what? Nothing physical is bigger than you because you are first spiritual. So everything physical is less than you. Everything you are limited by today is a misconception because it is not supposed to be so. Once you understand the capacity and power that you are, you will live in a mastery that you have. So if you've been around me of late, anytime at all, you know I'm a limitless thinker. I always do things like as though by the snap of my fingers, they just happen. And it has always fallen true. So I'm going to end on this note and say, please become fearless by the function of whom you are, because by design, that is whom you really are. Thank you, Mr. Olumide. I hope I made some sense tonight, sir.
Wow, I'm blown away. I wanted to clap, but I'm awestruck because I've looked at my life, picturing my life in the volume of what you have written, and then look at entirely how I've been able to navigate up to this extent. And I've seen that, you know, there are a lot of things maybe I should have done better if I had had this book like 20, 30 years ago. But just like you said, there is no limits to what we can do. And whenever we realize it is the time to start
Yes.
over
Yes.
again.
Yes.
That chapter 4 really struck me, that social norms, you know, because I've seen people destroy relationship because they want to do it the way somebody else, maybe their parents or somebody
Yes.
that they look up to, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and
Very true.
they don't even know that they are doing it by default, you know, because something they have learned that they need to unlearn. And, you know, even, you know, some of those things that I do too. And the affirmation too got my attention very well. You know, that spiritual words of power we speak into
Yes.
the air, you know, because somehow reaffirming what you want, you know, keeps you moving.
Yes.
Because, yeah, I remember last year when I wanted to start this YouTube, this review and put it on YouTube, you know, I really don't know how it's going to look like, you know. But as I started, I began to see the light, you know, at the end of the tunnel. I began to see more things that I can do. And then when I look back today, I look at some people ask me, they say, people you bring, how do you get them? But today I know that, you know, speaking those things, you
Yes.
know, God has a way of backing it up and making it, you know, bigger. I don't want to do all the talking. You have done all the talking. I know that many people have questions and contributions to these things. Especially we have elderly people in this place that,
Yeah.
you know, could contribute more to it. So we'll give some people few minutes. If you are there and you want to contribute, I'm looking at maybe you can raise up your hand so that we can. Okay, I've seen my wife raise up her hand first. Okay, So you can go on.
All right. Good evening, all. Thank you, Coach Sam. I'm
Thank
meeting
you,
you
ma.
for the first time.
Yes, you,
In
ma.
fact, while you were speaking, I was just blessing you in my heart
I'm grateful.
because
Thank
your story resonates with me 100%. The way we were
you.
brought up, never to look up to adults,
Mm.
courteous, you are this Mr. and Mrs. Gentle, no rough edges with anybody. So I got into the banking industry. In fact, when you say somebody has to ask you, do you have a company? Somebody has asked me before. You are intelligent, you deliver results, but you just find it difficult to interact because of the way your upbringing.
Yes.
And when they ask myself, I said, Bukola, what exactly is your problem? And I found that, it's the upbringing. Okay. Then the sugar-coated now with the Christian background also. That kind of everything is just, don't make trouble, don't, even when they just keep quiet. I said, no. And so just like you said, you have to do like some you have to internalize some things and ask yourself questions. So I have to ask myself questions. So I think I now begin to ask myself, who am I? Is it that I'm really shy? Is it that I'm really fearful? Don't I know what I need, what I'm bringing to the table? And I know that all those questions were, no, you are not. But because I was air-bound by the way I was brought up. My contributions is two today. Number one, it's for everyone, because at some point when I finished my soul searching, I told myself, Bukola, I am going to be a different person. I'll be courteous, I'll be nice, but I'm going to be assertive.
Yes.
I'm going to put my feet down. I'm going to be deliberate about my relationships. So, somebody that I met with like 10 years ago now met me. So I was now in an IRO. He said, Madam, I worked with you 10 years ago, but something about you is different. Now, he said, I can see that you are more in charge. You are more in control. I said, yes, a different me has to surface because I have to internalize some of it. So when you are speaking, I say, man, this man just caught me tonight because I've gone through this same route. Now, to us as parents, I hope we are not raising our children that same way.
Same way, true.
It's so, so important. Just tonight at home, we had a guest that came into the house. And my daughter looked at that guest and asked a question because I told them to be fearless. Be respectful, but be fearless. After my daughter asked that question and the guest left, I told my husband, I said, I hope you're not in trouble tonight by the question my dad. But my mother said, but that is where we should bring them up. The girl was just innocent, just want to know, just asking questions. So, you understand what they're so bold, they can ask you anything. And I said, I prefer that as long as they are courteous. So my shy life that almost destroyed my relationship, almost destroyed my career. So I want to say God bless you. In fact, this is your book. I'm going to buy at least 10 copies of your books. I need to give it to people that are in my soul so that they can read it, break off from it, and let's say generation that is coming to be bold without losing the sense of humility and consciousness. Thank you very much. Thank you.
God bless you, ma. I appreciate.
Okay. Do we have anybody else to speak? Or I will start calling name.
Yes, I would like to speak.
Okay. It was you I wanted to call first.
Oh, yes. Honestly, I am 62 years old. And all I can say is that this is an epiphany. You shouldn't be having this kind of awakening at this age. It's something that should have happened to you 30 years ago.
Wow.
But I still thank God for it. Honestly, like you said, culture. There's a song that comes to mind. I used to listen to a lot of music when I was young. It says a child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. It's a truism that is now showing, what our culture, sometimes can be derogatory about. We need to run a balance, like I have gathered here. You understand? I still have a young child who I can impart this to. Now I'm probably less annoyed with the things that she does because she's assertive, and it just opens my eyes and my mind more to the fact that I really have spent a lot of time straight jacketing myself and other people, into what we call good manners. Good manners must not be at the expense of expressing yourself.
Yes.
And honestly, it is something I intend to mentor other people as we go on. Like I said, I'm 62, I can still act on it. It's never too late, to pick up new things. You only start dying when you stop learning. And I really have enjoyed myself today. I would also want to take that particular book because you see, like you said, you must see, it's probably I don't know what can be better. The focus is so beautiful and it's so relevant to the place we are today, because honestly, a lot of reasons why a lot of people have not come out and called a spade in Nigeria is because of customs and cultures and mindsets, that are retrogressive. So thank you very much again.
Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. God bless you.
Humbled by your feedback. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, I will still call Pastor Akindele and Brother Ademoye to say something. But before they say something, please, if you look at your chat box, I have my YouTube handle there. Please just click and help subscribe to that YouTube channel. Please, it's on the chat box. If you have not done it before, once you click, it will open for you. Then you can now subscribe to it. Thank you. Okay, Pastor Akindele, now you can say something. Then Brother Ademoye.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Brother Sam, it is a pleasure having you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for this well-researched and God-given wisdom for compiling this together. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
I believe at any given time when I read it, we still have at least value added. Now, the area where I just want to come in is chapter 4, chapter 5, social norm, and then our
parents.
Yes, our parental cares, parental activities and responsibilities on us. I discovered that whatever is your age, you are still a child.
Yes.
In the hands of the parents. They still have a very vital role to play. Particularly when you grow up under parents that are not risk takers, that are risk averters.
I agree.
And they are aware of what you want to do. So you need to manage it very, very, very well. Somebody just spoken and use a language striking a balance. So it's a thing that one has to manage very, very well.
Yes.
And more so, if they're educated, they understand some of the things you want to do, they're in position to advise, even if they have passed through that route before. So they would like to bring you closer. No, go this way, go that way. But if you do some of these things without their knowledge or consent, and something happens, because the whole thing is a risk. Even when you resign, when mommy resigned in 2010, and you follow 2011, it's a very big risk.
Yes.
I'm telling you, if I am in your mommy's shoe, honestly speaking, I will behave the same way. At least I will expect you to give a gap.
Yes.
So that maybe my pension starts pouring in, anything happens. So the new way or the new chart you want to follow. So if it doesn't go smoothly the way we project, something can be coming to support. Or now maybe my pension is not coming forth the way it's supposed to come, either from government or from corporate bodies or from anywhere. People fail pensioners nowadays. Now that maybe the parents were relying on you that, all right, one or two of you are working already, even if nothing is coming from this end, however small it is, something can be coming for me to eat and you want to resign. Any parent will react. But, it is God that help you out of that risk. Now, when it comes to social norms, yes, we have a lot of challenges there. That is where our culture comes to interplay. There is no way we can rub off our culture in our daily activities, either even if our hearts are strong as iron, or we don't have any fear. I want to take this street, want to take that. The Bible we are reading, it carries about 70 or 75% of Hebrew culture.
Yes.
Fine. So our culture that does not associate with sin, I appreciate it more than anything. So if you are 36 and you are not married, I'm one of the people that will query you. What are you waiting for? So what are you waiting for? Because you don't know God. You have to plan that. I mean, you have to pray very well to know what God has for you. This thing you are pursuing, it may come after the marriage. You are not in God's kingdom. You are only praying that God, please, you are praying for his mercy. And this mercy, God will release it. At the right time, he will release it. And that doesn't mean that you delay what is not supposed to be delayed, particularly if you are a woman. So, and many other issues. So I really appreciate you. That's great. I will have copies of this book. And I have seen a lot of things that is going to add more value even to my life and to the lives of my children. Particularly the last statement that we can live bigger than the life we are living now, so that we should not be limitless in our thinking. So God bless you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your contribution.
I will get your book. The only thing is that, you see, when children are growing up, they have two options: to be super confident or to be timid. You understand? It depends on the parents.
Yes.
And I was telling my daughter today that, look, you need to be able to start well. Me, I was lucky when I was in school, because when I was in lower six, in government college, I met somebody that really influenced my life totally. He didn't know. Even if I tell you, he will not know. But I saw a very confident, actually the person was my classmate, but he had this super confidence. He was always somebody that plans for events before it happens.
Wow.
He reads well ahead, so those are the things that shape our life. Yeah. Now, in the university again, I had a classmate who eventually made first class, but he had only one secret. And that secret is that by the time we are finishing part one, he will go to part two and collect their final their question papers and be reading it. So when we get to class,
he's already familiar.
You will be asking the teachers advice. In fact, most of the teachers will be saying, we have not gotten to this level. We have not gotten to this, and we were worried until we got to final year that I called at this and said, how do you do it? It was then that he told me his secret. So it depends on us parents to be able to imbibe that confidence in our children. That look, when you are going to do this one, these are the things you do, these are the things you don't do. So I really appreciate you. My question to you now is that, apart from being a life coach, what do you do now?
Thank you, sir. So I operate two businesses. On one hand is behavioral change, where we invest in life coaching, mental health, and a lot of behavioral tools like cognitive therapies and counseling. On the other hand, I also run a business innovation brand where we do business process engineering, and we do ERP installation, strategy and operations, and markets. So because my first degree is computer science, my background has been very instrumental. So we run two different organizations, but of course, to the public, we operate SOPCA. SOPCA is the organization that handles behavioral change. So we focus on emotional intelligence, anger management, mental health, life coaching, and any of those tools that help with behavior modification. So that's what I do, sir.
Okay. You don't do anything from value cards. They are the cards, not anything on card.
Card payments for card in card payments.
Card payment like authorization.
No. I left card payment. I left card payment since I left value card, but I've gone back to train value card twice. I do some work with express payments because I still do some e-commerce support. I still do consultancy with respect to project management, but the details of card and PCI DSS, I'm rusty in that now. I've not done that in years.
Well,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
nice
so much.
talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. As so, I will just say there is no more question, though we still have some few time. So if there is no more question, there is no point staying back. I will take. My wife has gone off. I don't know whether she has gone off. She has gone off. Okay. She has gone off. Okay. No problem. Okay. So, Coach, I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much for having me, sir. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And I think at some other time when we call on you, you'll be able to come because there are still other things I'm looking at that I want you to do for me.
I'll be glad to come back anytime.
Okay, so I'm very grateful.
My sincere apologies that it took so long. The schedule can be very crazy, but thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thank you. I know you are busy. Thanks, everyone. I'm very grateful.